Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow, and perhaps even check out our Patreon. And welcome back to the 52nd, I think, Ipswich Transport Museum's Ipswich to Felixstowe Road Run. And this year, once again, the big red thing has made it this far. And that is a rather good start actually.
And as the fire engines have been parked amongst the buses, Jupes once again have become an honorary bus. But our adventure didn't start here. That began back in the shed.
We are 5 months into the year, and I've not turned this on yet. I have every faith that it will be totally fine and nothing bad is going to happen. I have no faith. I love this thing, I really do.
And seeing as the machine hadn't actually had a wash since Tom did last year, it was time to give it a long overdue wash and a snow foam to get the paint nice and shiny, ready for its big appearance back in public. Now, I always love it when we put the snow foam on it. It's such a massive surface to cover, and seeing the whole thing turn white, I find it very amusing. And at this point, I want to say thanks to Tom for once again bringing his own cleaning supplies and spending his own time cleaning my truck. The good news is he did such a good job last year that the polish was still on the paintwork, so that meant we got the same kind of effects from a much quicker washdown rather than having to give it the full works again. And then he got some revenge for last year. And having thoroughly soaked me, he dried off the paintwork.
It is such a pretty truck. Whilst Tom puts himself to work making the truck look beautiful, full disclosure, last night when we left the shed, I forgot the drone, which was in the back of the car, and left it outside the shed, to which the neighbours came out at, I don't know, gone 10, 10:30, and started asking where the fire was for the fire engine. She's still got it, bless her.
And then...
Okay, I've got to be honest with you. I am nervous. I've never sat this side on the road. You're welcome.
He's going to scream at everything.
You may need to go backwards, so I don't know if you'll make that lock. So what we're doing today is something a little bit different. One of my best friends, Tom, has got his HGV licence and has been badgering me for a drive of Jupes since forever. And I figured the best way to let him have a go with Jupes would be a trial by fire of going straight into the road run, where it's slow, lots of traffic, lots of mucking around. And it means for the first time ever, I get to be this side of my truck. And I'll be honest, I don't even think I did this when I went to buy it. I think when I went to buy it, I was your side. It's usually the idea.
We arrived in Christchurch Park without any issue and joined the some 750 other vehicles that were booked in for this year's run, which was definitely more than last year. And as soon as we hopped out of the vehicles, some of you guys recognised me and came to say hello. And whilst I was busy catching up and discussing vehicles with you guys, I sent Tom and Charles out to find some of their favourite vehicles that were here in attendance.
So we've walked off, we've left him. We're going to go look at the cars.
Which were, as it happens, still turning up. And I do love the old shape of the Sirocco. It's a seriously cool car. And watching all of these amazing cars turn up is one of the highlights of the day. Getting to sample the sounds and the sight of vehicles from times past is nothing short of wonderful.
The entire continent just drove past. More of the best cars of the show are turning up.
Who knew blooming?
As well as gathering of minis, there were also a good number of MGBs in attendance as well. It's one of the best things about this show. It's the sheer amount of vehicles that turn up. It's not just one make or model or period. There's something to appeal to absolutely anyone who's a car enthusiast.
He asked us to go and find our top favourite cars, so here's the top 4 out of my top 5.
Is there? said he might eat the crow.
Very predictable, Charles.
How dare you?
It appears that Tom maybe understood the assignment a little better, or maybe just had slightly more varied tastes, and found himself a selection of wonderful classic cars, and got a couple of shots of walking around showing the sheer variety of cars in attendance. Charles's footage, however, was a little less varied and certainly a lot more predictable.
Frog Eye Spice, one of the best cars.
You would say that.
It's a Mini 1000. It's the same as mine.
There were some things that I really couldn't believe were old enough now to attend, like this first generation Lotus Elise. I remember these being new, and that means that I've got old, because this surely cannot be an old enough car to take part. And also, once again, there was an MR2 in the lineup. MR2s just don't seem old enough to be part of this. Having finished their walk around, the guys came back to find me, but I was busy chatting to the public and showing off the fire engine. So they gave up and went back to looking at the cars. And whilst the show is mostly about the cars, there was a good selection of commercials, military vehicles and buses in attendance. And as we know, these are the kind of vehicles that really capture my attention. I particularly like this Commer Carrier in Suffolk County yellow livery. That was absolutely smashing, as was this Sentinel, who obviously used to build steam engines, and I'd seen this Freightliner before. It is massive, and I'm sure this Volvo was in the show last year as well. There was also this that's another local vehicle going back home to Felixstowe, and my friend Craig's Grand's Jeep. And of course, the thing that I want most out of all the show, this Scamel. And what made things even better was it was an absolutely glorious day, with the sun beating down on all of the vehicles in attendance. And for me to be part of this event with so many other enthusiasts is something really, really special that I'd always wanted to be able to do as a child. Soon, it was time to leave. And I can tell you that trying to get 750 vehicles out of one entrance, well, that's quite the undertaking and leads to quite the traffic jam.
Get one of Grandad's when it comes along. I've got it ready, don't worry, I can get it out quickly, don't worry. Keep still, Stevie. Not keep about. Don't worry, as soon as we start seeing those cars coming, I'll be ready. I'm going to start recording.
Have you already started?
No, not yet. I'm just waiting.
No, but Dad, get the music the other one.
They're on. They're on.
Watching the fleet of vintage vehicles slowly making their way out of the park from Jupiter's cab was absolutely wonderful. It was without doubt the best seat in the house to watch this kind of thing, but it did lead to the only problem that I have with this event, and that is we had absolutely no idea when we were meant to leave, because there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. You'll just suddenly get a wave and be told, hey, you guys are next. It doesn't feed out in a sensible way of the vehicles nearest to the exit first slowly fanning back, or even start from one end. It just seems to be, hey, I like you, you guys are going next. Which isn't really a huge problem. Apart from when you're trying to film and trying to work out where you need your guys to be, not knowing when you're about to disappear is a little bit more of a challenge. And this year, it was slightly different. If you recall back to last year, they let all the fire appliances go in one solid bunch. But for this year, this wasn't the plan. Some of them had already left, and there were some still with us here. And I thought last year that was awesome being in a convoy of fire engines, whereas this year it seemed to be a little more just what the organisers felt like at the time. Not that it was really a problem. It was wonderful just to sit back and watch vintage vehicles go by and realise just how privileged we all were to be able to enjoy this and take part in it. Although, before we start any adventure and go somewhere, I'm always completely paranoid whether or not Jupes will fire up and leave. My main desire for a day like this is just to get out of the park and not to be the one vehicle that's left behind with everybody looking around going, oh, what a shame. So that's all the RS had to do, fire up and drive out of the park. If we broke down on the route, fair enough. If we broke down at Felixstowe, that was fine. We'd just sit and enjoy the seaside. We were going home later, once the recovery truck turned up. But now, all it needed to do was start, once somebody told us that we were going.
Granddad's got to be coming soon.
But don't stop the video.
Eventually, it was our time to shine, so I wished Craig luck and boarded Jupes ready for our trip to Felixstowe.
Right, onwards. It's only been 10 minutes. How do you feel, Tom?
Wonderful.
You optimistic? Clear mine. And go full lock. You'll kill everyone if not. Blast and stop. Yeah, blast. We'll keep the blues on until we re-enter the not closed road. Is he in? Yeah, we have a show. Off we go.
lose a run. There's some nice brakes. You'd be nice. You've always got to find the point, hold it there just for a second.
This part of the journey was always the slowest as we approached the roundabout with the bypass to make our way out of Ipswich. I wasn't too fussed though, because I was really enjoying flying the drone and getting a new angle on the fire engine as it trundled down the roads that I'd grown up with.
How do you find it, Tom?
Lovely.
Is it better than the trucks you drive to work?
It's more enjoyable.
Is that just because you're not at work?
Arguably, yeah.
Everybody who waves, your mission is to blast the horn in retaliation. People waving. This is your additional...
I know, you just spent the entire day.
Yeah, do this. Everyone who waves, they get a blast. So go on then, how different is it to what you drive daily?
More enjoyable.
What's better with it?
Manual. I just like driving manual. I honestly say, if our trucks were manual, it'd be better.
I remember one of my last things I drove was like the last V8 they had in their fleet.
Yeah.
And it was glorious. With a manual box and you could just driving through, I love it.
That's quite a satisfying horn.
I forgot I wasn't driving.
Right?
Yeah, I put my foot, I looked forward and just saw that a couple of was like, oh no!
It's not working.
Well, not that we're going very fast, this is solid. Sometimes like they've just unleashed several hundred vehicles on the road. 750 I think is the official count. They capped it at 700 and then let more in. Alright, how you doing? It's Richard. Right? Right? It was Richard. Oh, who sold me this?
No.
Yeah.
I bet he's looking at it going, oh.
Yeah, no, you should see his face is lit up. It's like,
Really?
yeah.
Thank you.
Asking for a blast. Yeah.
So you know that new indicator stalk that you said you can't get another one on when you wear the horn out?
I can put a button somewhere for the horn. I can live with that. I got lunch. I'm so pleased for everybody that it's a nice morning, not just for the organisers and for those of us who bought vehicles, but all these people who have come out to see it. Do you know what I really like? The amount of old people, like particularly little old people who are sat there in their chair and you give them away and their faces light up and they're like, oh, this is great.
They probably think, I remember, we used to see those on the road.
Maybe these were on the road in my lifetime. She came out of service in the 90s. This is my era. Double thumbs up. It's so good.
There's so many people.
Life should be more like this, just sitting back and just waving at people. That's brilliant. It's moments like this that make me so proud to be part of the heritage vehicle movement.
No one's ever miserable, are they?
No,
It's not.
And having weaved our ways through the streets of Ipswich, we were now out on the open roads, still lined with people as we made our way away from Ipswich towards Felixstowe. And being in convoy with an older Dennis was quite special.
part of though.
Oh yeah, it's great. Genuinely wonderful thing. Give it some. Come on. Thank you very much. I appreciate your service. Everybody's so happy. Sometimes I really hate vintage vehicle ownership. Days like this is a wonderful day. Come back. Don't leave. That one. Green traffic light. Bad times, bad times, bad times. I made it. All's well.
I nearly left it out here. I don't know, I don't recognise it.
Wait, whose truck's this?
Having successfully arrived in Felixstowe and parked up, we took up residence in our favourite spot, sat on the roof of Jupes, giving us an excellent view of the surrounding cars and being able to bask in the wonderful summer sun, which meant it was soon time to get ourselves a drink and then launch the drone.
Think about fire engines, so many places to put things.
The only real way to get a sense of scale of how many vehicles were in attendance was from the air and flying alongside the promenade with all the cars lined up was absolutely glorious. I love the way they set up this show with all of the cars parked in a long line, not stacked next door to each other. It means that you can really appreciate each individual car. And also, it just gives you this grand sense of scale. All of these wonderful vehicles, all out in the summer sunshine. It's just glorious. And as lovely as it was sat on Jupes, there were so many amazing vehicles that we couldn't resist going for a walk.
That is utterly, utterly delicious. This interior would last for me maybe an hour before it was ruined forever. That hearse, that is as big as Jupiter, I swear.
There was also some great American muscle, including a C3 Corvette, which is just
Now, if I remember correctly with this, I think it's brakes over there, reverses in the middle, and then gear 1 is you push it down to engage gear 1, and you throw the lever and you lift it up and that's into gear 2. Which means that after all your years of driving a conventional car, you go, oh, I need to stop here, I'll put my foot on the clutch, and it will start going. And you put your foot on the brake and it tries to put itself into reverse.
There were obviously some groups and clubs in attendance, and that led to some great lineups like this one, full of Triumph stags. And I particularly like this one that's in the purple. That looks really cool. I love the sheer variety of cars and the different design language from different manufacturers throughout the years. It's just a wonderful experience to wander through and see how the car has evolved and how different companies went about a very similar idea. And the condition of everything was absolutely outstanding. Rather predictably, we then came across some minis which took all of Charles' attention as he started to imagine just what his one could look like once he'd finished putting it back together again. Leaving Charles to continue to gawp at the minis, I headed off with my want list increasing with every single vehicle that I walked past. There's something so exciting about the vintage car, the different design language and just how beautifully they're put together. Each one of these cars screams that it's got its own personality, that it looks like it's going to be great fun to drive. And the fact that they're still here, the fact that people have preserved them, have looked after them and continue to show them makes me so happy. Seeing cars outside on a run, not in a museum, but being used, is the only way to really appreciate them. You've got to see them run, you've got to hear the engine note, you've got to see them drive past, you've got to see them come alive. And seeing some of the photos of how some of these vehicles started before they were restored gave me hope for some of my own projects. And speaking of seeing the machines come alive, by the time we'd turned around and got back to Jupes, some of the cars were already starting to leave. And as more and more vehicles began to make their way home, we decided that we should probably join them.
After a rather enjoyable day of doing absolutely nothing and looking at cars, it's time to go home, and I have resumed my rightful place at the steering wheel of my vehicle, and I've replaced Tom with Charles, and Tom has been banished to the back. Not because he did a bad job, but you know, we're just all rotating around, so it means that you're up next.
We flew straight back to the shed with Jupiter, skipping out Ipswich. I managed to arrive without any incidents whatsoever.
And there we go. Successful trip to the shed, out from the shed, round Suffolk, and back home again. And frankly, this is why I love the truck. When it behaves itself all day, we have no problem. Loads of lovely comments, and all of you guys who come up and said hello, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad you got to see the truck when it was behaving. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed this video, seeing an adventure of Jupiter joining in with the 52nd annual Ipswich and Felixstowe road run. It's been a complete delight. If you have enjoyed them, how about clicking, I don't know, over there somewhere for last year's adventure where we took this one, or below that for when this thing didn't work and I was forced to take an old Dennis and go onto the main road, which was terrifying. And that, we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. I'm going to just go and enjoy this for a few seconds, the fact that it actually worked, because I'll be honest, I'm as surprised as you are. Ta-ra.